Okay, we're going to work on a song together, and we're going to start from the very beginning. I will explain some things. I will probably skip over some things, but here we go. We're going to create a session. We are going to name it Best Part, space dash space, and your last name, please. Do not create from a template. This is local storage. Wave 4824. Location should end in desktop. Hit create. Hopefully yours doesn't take quite as long. If for any reason, like this, the edit window did not launch, it is under Window and Edit. We're going to work here for most of our time. Let's create a click track. So let's go to Track and create click. This is a metronome. So it tells us the tempo, or it gives us a sense of the rhythmic pulse of the song. Right now, our tempo, which is always the default for just about any DAW that I'm aware of, is 120 BPM. We want our tempo to be 75. We have 2 ways, 3 ways we could do that. I'll show you 2 real quick. We could come up over here to the MIDI tools. And if you don't have those, MIDI controls, I should say, you can come to this little triangle and make sure that it's checked. And for 120 BPM, we could just click here and drag it down to 75. Or we can click here, highlight it, put in the number 75, and hit return. And that will make our tempo 75. So you can see much slower, more chill. We're going to make some tracks. Let's go up to Track and New. And I think we're going to make 5. So let's input 5 stereo. We'll just keep it all stereo. Instrument tracks, because we're going to put an instrument on each one of those. Those should be in ticks. And we'll hit create. Actually, let's do this. We'll hit the plus sign, and we will create a stereo master fader, so we don't have to think about it later. Hit create. All right, we're going to go through and name these now. So inst1, I'm going to double click on the nameplate. I'm going to call this drums. I'm going to hit next, and I'm going to call this one bass. It's not bass, and it's not bass with an E. We're not playing baseball. The next one I'm going to call E-piano. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to call this one lead. And I'm going to make another one just for a snap. It's not normally what I would do, but since we're just starting out, I'm going to keep an entire track just for a snap. All right, so I'm actually going to start with the E-piano. I'm going to come over to Insert A of the E-piano track, and I'm going to go Multi-Channel Plugin, over to Instrument, over, and down to Expand 2. And what I'm thinking is that I would not normally use Expand for this, but I don't really care about the sound right now. It's good enough, and I can change it later if I want to. So I'm going to go to the E-piano category, and I'm going to choose the Mark II, the very first one in the category. I can close this up. We're going to go to a new window now. So instead of the Edit or the Mix window, we're going to go to the MIDI Editor. And the MIDI Editor is where you input your MIDI data. Now, we could input this by playing, but I'm not quite ready to do that yet. So we're going to draw. And how we do that? Well, there's a couple of ways. Using the pencil tool, we can draw in notes. And we can hold them and draw them longer. Or we can use our Smart tool or the grabber tool, and we can double click. If we're using the Smart tool, then we could drag that out. I often do that. not the most efficient necessarily. We're going to use the pencil because I know that we're going to be drawing in measure long notes. If you're zoomed out and you only see the measures, or if you see, 40 measures in less than 6 inches, or if you are so zoomed in that you only see like subnotes, zoom out, so command in the brackets, so you see just the fractions, 1 over 1, 1 over 2, 1 over 3, 1 over 4. The first one is the measure that you're in, and the other number is the quarter note that you're in. And because you see 4 squares per quarter note, we are displaying 16th notes. The grid can be turned on and off. The value of the grid can be changed to 32nds, 64ths, eighths, etc. I choose 16ths because it's just kind of a great middle ground. It's not too many squares. It's not too few. We can do it a lot. All right, we're going to draw in a total of 4 chords, and those chords are D major 7, A minor 7, G major 7, and B flat major 7. Do not worry at all about the names of those chords and what that all means. I do want you to notice, because I believe this is fairly new in this version of Pro Tools, that they've added the names of the notes to the keys. And it defaults, I believe, to sharps in the accidentals. I'm going to be referring to notes as flats, so if you press this button here, it just changes the names of those notes to flats. They are the exact same note tonally, just being referred to differently based on the scale. That being said, let's start with our D major. Also, sorry, you can't hear anything when I click on these notes, and that's because this pencil right here indicates what track is actively being drawn, and right now it thinks that we're working with the drums. So if I click in this small little area right here and choose the E piano, now I can hear a piano. What the dot refers to is what data you will see once it is drawn. And there are times that I want to see multiple tracks. We don't have anything, so you won't see it. But right now, I just want to see the E piano, and I want to draw the E piano. Something else to remember or notice is that B1 here, that's B in the first octave. And this is B in the second octave. So the number refers to the octave in which that note is coming from. So we're going to put in a measure of D2. Okay, so I'm drawing all the way through all these quarter notes right up to the second measure. We're going to put in A2. We're going to put in D flat 3. And we're going to put in G flat 3. It's actually a beautiful chord. Very simple, but beautiful. A minor 7, we're going to go down to A1, and from beat 1 of measure 2 all the way up to beat 1 of measure 3, up to, not through, but through beat 4 of measure 2, G2, C3, and E3. Nice. G major 7. We're going to go down to G1. G flat 2. It's interesting. It's easier to see the notes, but it's also more crowded. G flat 2, B2, and D3. And for this next one, I'm going to show you a little trick. B flat major 7. We're going to go up to B flat 1. And instead of using the pencil, because I know that these are all going to be the same length, I'm going to hold down my Option key. See that plus sign? That means that I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to go A2, D3, and F3. And I did take my finger off option each time. All right, let's listen to those 4 chords. Yeah. Sounds good. Not my voice. That doesn't really matter. Okay, so now notice that you have 4 clips for each, 1 clip for each chord. And I'm okay with that. However, I do want to name them just to have kind of a good organizational strategy. So I'm going to highlight with the grabber tool. I'm going to highlight the first clip. I'm going to come over to the clip list. If you don't see it, boom, right there. And I'm going to double click on the one that's highlighted, because the one that I highlights in the clip list. And I'm going to write D major 7. I'm going to highlight this one. I'm going to write A minor 7. I don't even need to really do that. I'll just go to the next one. G major 7. And B flat, I put in just a lowercase b, major 7. All right. So what we're going to do is highlight these, go File, Bounce Mix. I'm going to type in that these are the keys, or piano, just so I can identify it in the folder. It's going to my bounced files, interleaved MP3. I'm going to bounce this out so that I can submit it. And I will listen to it and tell you if you've got the right notes in your chords.